Hello, friends. Good morning to all of you. Today, because of the time shifting and due to some technical issues, I thought why not to record our video right now and upload on Google Classroom. So, you know that we have started business communication and its barriers. And before this lecture, we have conducted online live lectures, and we have started and we have finished physical barriers, and then we have started the psychological barriers. So, and I think some parts of psychological barriers also we have covered in that lecture. So what is the psychological barriers? So first, again I just want to just recall you that what we have learned, and let me go to the analyze the term and explain the term the psychological. So you know that the psych means mind, psych means mind, and the psychological barriers arise in the minds. So human mind, it is very complex thing to understand. So we face many times some conflict due to the situations or surroundings events. So these barriers are bound to rise. But the real problem is that people do not accept that these barriers exist in their minds due to the status, old age, and ego problems. Many times, psychological barriers are created. These are difficult to overcome. And because people do not accept that they face barriers or they lack proper understanding to face the world. Okay, so this the following psychological barriers we have seen, and I have explained the different perception that everybody have a different perception. Everybody looks at a thing in differently because everybody have a different principles, everybody have a different ideas, everybody have a different ideologies, and someone follows some discipline of thought, and someone also follows the or oppose that discipline of thought, and he follows something a different kind of a principles of thought. And in that there are lefties and righties thoughts process, or we can say the vichar dharas of different vichar dharas. So everybody have a different perception, and because of the different perception, you know that the psychological barrier comes into the communication, and therefore the communication cannot happen properly. Then again we have seen the resistance to change. As I have told you that it is a human nature that always we want to oppose any change, because we became habitual of our older ways of life, and therefore if there is something new, so we initially we try to resist it, we try to oppose it, and we try to negligence it. And because of that, what happens, the problem, that is the barrier, comes into the our communication. For example, now you know that the online teaching process is going on, and maybe in the beginning stages of the online teaching, maybe some people have opposed it. Okay, and maybe there are a lot of problems regarding these teaching, because network problem may be there, somewhere have internet problem, some people face time problem, as today we have this problem because we have to adjust. And again there are so many changes we come, and the people just oppose that, and after some days past, the people become habitual to that, and therefore it is one of the biggest psychological barriers. Then after that we have seen the unclarified assumption, because we assume something to be happen. As you watch movies or drama or TV series or even the cricket also. So whenever you watch the cricket, okay, last night we have seen the cricket between that is the second qualifier IPL match between the Sunriser Hyderabad and Delhi Capitals, and therefore some people were assuming that Hyderabad will win the match and it will be fight to the Mumbai Indians in the finals. And some people were assumed that maybe the DC, that is Delhi Capital, will win the match and they will go to the finals. And now a lot of, I think that 90 more than 90% people assume that Mumbai Indian is going to win the fifth title of IPL, because Delhi Capital was defeated by Mumbai Indian three times in this IPL, and there is a very less chances that Delhi Capital can beat Mumbai Indians in the final. If the Hyderabad won the match, definitely there will be the possibility that the Hyderabad have some guts that they could defeat Mumbai Indians in the final. Okay, but now we can say that the final may be the one-sided if the Shikhar Dhawan and other people will not play well. If he out on the duck, then definitely Delhi Capitals will not going to win the match. But let's see. So I was talking about the assumption, and there are some unclarified assumption. There is no important things, and I have also given you example that someone is coming for the work somewhere, and therefore the person, that is Mr. Singh, is there. He just received the telephone call that Mr. Sinha is coming to Mumbai, and he has to do all the arrangement. And then he was assuming that whether I should go arrange the taxi or Uber or whatever, and whether he should arrange the room, should he book the room in the one hotel or anywhere, and what should be the, and if he assuming, because there is the unclarified assumption, he's just assuming that if he has booked or he has spent money, so he's going to money. Okay, so those are the things came in psychologically, and then it became the barrier. Then after that we have also talked about the allness and the closed mind, that how the people, they have a closed mind, how they, because that the allness, some people say that I'm a great, everything, I only know everything. And because of that, what happened, because of this allness, this kind of allness, the people said that they are only the people, they are the people who have that all the knowledge, and therefore they close their minds. And the most of the time, that our minds are closed, and if the minds are closed, then we are not able to learn new things. Okay, because when you close your mind, if I said that I know everything, so definitely I will not open my mind to learn something new from other person. And therefore, if I'm a senior, if I'm a boss, if I'm a boss of a particular department, then what I can say that yes, I know everything, so there is no need to understand or get a new information from my subordinate. And because of that, this is the example of the closed mind, or this is the example of the barriers of uh, communication. So most of the time, as I have told you, that we closed our mind and we are not able to learn new things. And what happened with old age? Okay, our, and when we got the old age, change in attitude, this problem is observed. And this is also very barrier in communication. And this is not only about the older people. Okay, it is also about the younger people also, because there are so many younger people, they think that they know everything, they are great persons. Okay, some people just compared with themselves that they are very great, and none is equivalent to them, and none have the capacity to equivalent them. And because of that, the allness and the closed mind, the psychological barriers arises, and that is the great problem for the people. Next barrier is a fear. So why there is a fear? So that some people have a fear that maybe uh, what, maybe that if I'm a subordinate, and if I want to go and talk with my senior person or a boss or head of the institution, if I want to go to him, and I want to put or express my thought, I want to put my ideas, I want to that share my information or share my ideas or my emotion to that. So what happen if that person is not friendly? So there may be the fear in my mind that if I talk like this to that person, maybe he will take another meaning, or maybe it will be not good for that person. Okay, and therefore this fear comes in mind, and therefore it becomes the one of the psychological barriers. For example, if A is a person, he's a clerk there. Okay, and another person is a boss of that office. Okay, and the boss treated every, he is a very rude person. Okay, boss is very rude person, and he has that allness and this closed mind nature. He has that barrier. And then clerk has a very important information, because the new technology is coming, and he wanted to share that new information to his boss, because that new technology, that new information will be very helpful for their new project. But he has a fear that if I go to my boss and if I share that information, or if I talked about that information to my boss, maybe my boss will be angry on me, maybe my boss will not listen to me. And because of that fear, what happened, that clerk will not dare to go to and meet the boss, and he will not actually uh, so because of the fear, the clerk will not go to meet his boss, and he will not share his important ideas or that information to his boss. So simultaneously that will be happen if a boss have any information but he have a fear about his subordinates. Maybe he may think that whatever the ideas or information he has, maybe his subordinate knew those ideas, and if I express my ideas, my subordinate said that, oh sir, you are telling those ideas which we have, and therefore they will okay, they will make a fun of me. So that kind of fear may exist in the minds of the boss, and because of that, it became the one of the barriers to communication. The next barrier is a misunderstanding. So why there is a misunderstanding? Because everybody have a different attitudes, as I have told you, and everybody have a, some bias or wrong opinions about the people on the basis of community, caste, religions, or on personal basis is very negative for communication. And therefore this misunderstanding is also part of prejudices, and it can hamper the communication. And maybe some people they get distracted messages, or they get a very limited information, or maybe there is a not a in that the message can't reach full to the person, or maybe some people, as I have told you, because of the mindset, because of the prejudices, and they have a misunderstanding about some communities, some people, or about the gender, and therefore this misunderstanding, this thing becomes one of the barriers to communication. So next barrier, the psychological barrier, is the hollow or the horn effect. Okay, so the hollow or horn effect means what? So it is like a like or dislike about a person, and you know that there are so many people that they dislike someone and they like someone, and when they dislike someone, it becomes very problematic. When you dislike someone, you will never want to talk with that person, you never want to work with that person, and if you like someone, you really want to work with that person. And therefore this likeness and dislikeness create the halo horn effect, and that is the biggest we can say that psychological barrier. And this halo or horn effect can affect the communication, and therefore there will be no good communication. And if there is no good communication, how one can work together, and how they can make a proper understanding, and how they can work together. So therefore this is the one of the psychological barrier to communication. Next one is inattentiveness. As you know that there may be so many reasons. For example, uh, there may be we can say that the problem with their about the retention. They may have lack the ability to retain the message or remember what is important. And but if it is a poor, then the communication also becomes difficult. If you are not attentively listening to other person, okay, then what happen, you will not able to understand what the person is talking. And this can happen because of the self image. Okay, somebody have a image that I am a positive, or I have all the knowledge, or maybe there's some negative image about the self, and is the way of looking at the world. So negative self image can destroy or hamper communication, and such people always think negatively and do not look at the things or events properly, and in this way they will become inattentive, and if you become inattentive you will not get the full portion of the message, and it will lead to the misunderstanding, and you will not get the important message. If you are not attentively listening to other person, then it became the barrier of communication, and the important, or we can what we can, the aim of the communication will not fulfill. So the next psychological barriers are emotions, or emotions are there, abstracting is there, slanting is there, polarization is there, and snap reaction is there. So these are the some of the, what we can say, the psychological barriers. So if you talk about the emotions and feelings, the emotional disturbances of the sender or receiver can distort or change the communication. Because if I'm happy, so I will definitely actively participate in the communication, but if I'm not happy, I'm very sad or I'm very angry, so then that will be effective or affect to the communication. It will be distract the communication, it will change the way of the communication, and that will be problematic for that. So abstracting and slanting, or polarization, these things may be that the filtering of message, or we can say, if you think about the filtering of message, so messages are filtered, or we can say change intentionally. So we always try to defend ourselves or protect ourselves during some problems, so that many times messages are changed by inferiors, and this may be because of the abstracting. Okay, because we want to abstract it, because every time we don't want to read, or we don't want to listen a full message, we just want to abstract it. Okay, so in this way we some people that change it, it make some people summarize it, and because of the summarizing, what happened, everybody want, I just want to summarize it, I don't want to make the full communication, and what and therefore it becomes a barriers to communication. So it is also true with the slanting, paraphrasing, and the snap reaction also. So, and again, apart from these barriers of psychological barriers, there are some more barriers also. One is the interest and attitudes barrier also. So interest and attitude of people determines communication strategy. Lack of interest or wrong attitude can lead improper communication. And the status is another barrier. So status creates barrier in the employee. Higher or lower status create obstacle in thinking or mixing with people. People keep distance while communicating due to the status barrier. And ego is another barrier. So ego, I attitude means I am great. Feeling can great barrier in mind. Ego barrier create conflict in human relationship. And the last barrier, that is the daydreaming barrier. So the daydreaming barrier, what happens to many students now, maybe some people are watching this video, and maybe they are dreaming someone else, or because the thinking process, we cannot stop it, and whenever we actually listen, or whenever we try to study, our thinking process starts, it never stops. And sometimes what happened, it also happened with me also, whenever I try to read, sometimes my mind just it travels somewhere else, and different kind of thoughts and different kind of images come, which are not related with what I am reading. So this happens sometimes, and therefore it is called as the daydreaming. So many students or many people, they have a habit of dreaming or thinking about something else when some lecture is going on or talk is going on. So this obstructs the communication, and messages are not reached properly, and therefore that is the thing we can see here. So before jumping to the next topic, because already I think it is a live video, and I think I have already passed 20 minutes. And therefore this slide, which you can see that the cross cultural barrier or social culture barrier, I'm going to take tomorrow. But now I'm not going to end our lecture here, because I just want to tell you that how we can overcome this physical barrier, and then the psychological barrier as a part of this lecture. Okay, so how to overcome the barriers or physical barrier? So physical barriers, by overcoming defects in communication system, by controlling noise or distance or physical barrier, can be overcome to some extent. Though we can't overcome some physical barriers such as time, distance, or defects in machine, we can control physical barriers to some extent. Efforts are required by all people to overcome physical barrier. So how we can going to overcome the psychological barriers, which in the last lecture and today lecture we have covered the psychological barrier. So it is a true that psychological barriers are difficult to overcome or solve. So there must be acceptance of one's mistakes or limitations. So this will lead understanding of human life. People do not accept their faults or limitations. This leads to many problems. We have to be humble and respectful towards other people. So many times the sender and the receiver are not in proper frame of mind. So this create problems in communication. So misunderstanding, lack of interest, mental and physical disturbances can cause problems because of that. But efforts should be taken by superiors and all reporting people to overcome the psychological barrier. So hey guys, uh, so tomorrow we are going to make online live lecture. So hence if you hence we are at the end now, and if you have any kind of problem regarding the psychological barriers, so you can ask me questions. So, and please don't forget to put your attendance form, fill your attendance form, because this is not a live lecture. So please fill up your attendance form. So thank you very much, see you tomorrow.